flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
This is a working theory that I have. This is part 2 of the Sting on King. It's a hidden war behind the Idaho 4. And I'm not trying to make all that shit rhyme. Jesus. Sting on King, hidden war, Idaho 4. Wow. That was not on purpose, but if it rhymes, and we'll roll with it. I truly believe that there is an aspect of a sting towards the Moscow Police Department. Now, if you're just tuning in and you're hearing this for the first time, yeah, that sounds batshit crazy. Why would the FBI set up a sting operation against the local cops for a quadruple homicide, one that rocked the nation? Well, that's because, as we see in the police reports, it seems like the Moscow Police Department doesn't do shit about anything that needs to be investigated. The second that they got the tip on Brian Kohberger's name, or the DNA, or the car, whatever you want to call it, they just rolled with it. They didn't have a weapon. They didn't have a connection. There's no clear motive. There's no evidence. And they rolled with it. They were probably thinking to themselves, this is a miracle. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. We can send this man away for the rest of his life, and we can't say anything on the details of the crime. And thank God we got Bill Thompson. I mean, the prosecutor that got a murder conviction without a body. Now, he's getting a murder conviction with no motive, no weapon, no connection. Trace DNA. One may argue no bodies. I mean, we haven't seen any photos of him. Not that we, not that that's like the end all be all, but there's a lot of people out there, folks, that, I mean, it's true. There's no photos of the bodies coming out of the house. Well, and I agree, Leah. It wasn't high profile at the time when they removed the bodies, but there's no pictures at all. There's pictures of everybody outside. There's a lot of stuff that is captured right away. And you would think that on a college campus, when all of the kids know something happened, right? None of those kids got a picture of the students being gurneyed out of their house. I mean, I feel like for almost any homicide in a house, the news captures a gurney with a blanket going over it into the ambulance. I feel like almost all of them, at least the ones that make it on the news. Like I was saying, in these police documents, it's interesting. One of the things that, if you know, when it comes to chess versus checkers in a narrative game, when we're reading these police documents, when we've been watching this case, but I'm going to specifically talk about the police documents, we're all reading it. And what is the biggest takeaway? Is it even suspicious reports as far as what's in the reports? Or is it more suspicious that the reports have nothing in them? And that's what I'm trying to get at, is how weird is it that people aren't really talking about the actual stuff in the reports by itself? They're talking about the stuff that's in the reports that doesn't make sense. It never got followed up on. It contradicts their narrative. And it all points back to the state. We listened to Steve G call into Ashley Banfield when he just so happened to be at the Corner Club for the first time to see his daughter's last bar that she was at, and just so happened to catch Ashley Banfield recording a podcast perfectly while she had her phone and saw him calling and could record the entire conversation. Don't know if I want to call that out and say it's complete BS and planned and staged, but even if it was, there's a lot of good information in that phone call. There's two things. Specifically, Steve said, well, the FBI ran a separate investigation and the Moscow Police Department wasn't privy to that information. Secondly, I find it very, very odd how fired up Steve G got at Bill Thompson, calling him a piece of shit. I would argue that there's instances where Steve is calling somebody a monster, and if you can't see through the noise and read between the lines, you'd think that that person was Brian Koberger. But I'm telling you, I've listened to that call 2 or 3 times now. I believe that he's referencing Bill Thompson. Phoenix, what is Gucci, my Louie?
Good morning, Bertie.
How are you doing?
Fantastic. How about you?
Doing better now that you're here.
Oh, you're so sweet. But I agree. He was talking to somebody else. And the way he turned that podium, and after Steve G's little speech outside, yeah, Steve G Jr., something's up.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people say ignorance is bliss. We need to start a new saying. Ignorance is complicit. That's what it is. Ignorance is complicit, Hive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ignore shit that's going on. You need just same thing with the government. I didn't plan on starting this stream with a rant, but you need to learn about the government that governs you. You need to learn the laws and the rights and the circumstantial things that you can do as a citizen to the powers that be to give yourself a fighting chance. That's not tinfoil hat shit. That's not some woo-woo conspiracy. That's not like you're a nut job. No, you should know your rights. You shouldn't live under a rock. You should stay up to date on current events. You should continue to progress with technology as it advances in this world. If you can't do that, you're going to get got by the media. It's inevitable. They're going to get you. They are going to be able to run circles around you, dangling a carrot in front of your face as you just chase it in a circle. And it's the most simple, easy, logical, emotionally palatable narrative about anything. It's always an invisible enemy that only the government and the news can see. You can't see it. Citizens of America, citizens of the world, only the powers that be can see this invisible enemy. Listen to us for your source of truth. And if you can't read the narrative, they will get you every time.
Bertie, you're right. There's so many red flags here, but it's not just about the government and the media. This is about your local police department, your local sheriff's department. Before anything ever hits the district attorney's office, any charges, it's your local authority that are throwing you under the bus.
One thing that I think we as the public forget, there are people that take that oath and the devil and the angel on their shoulders. The evil one starts to win. It's not to say that maybe they didn't go in with good intentions, but that whisper starts to get louder of no one's going to know. No one's going to, not trust you. You're in government. You're a judge. You're a police officer. You're this, you're that. You're the president of the school board. Whatever it is, you can apply it to anything. The company. You're the president of the company. No one's going to question you. It takes one time and one person to say something. And then I believe what we are seeing, to tie it back to the Idaho 4, is it's always the cover up that gets you caught. And I'll use the analogy. I have told you guys I played college football, and one of the coaches that I had, he would always say, like, if after the play, if you get pushed or if someone chirps you, he'd always say, he's like, it's always the second guy that gets caught. And if you ever watch an NFL or a football game, it's true. The guy who initiates the chirp or the, shit talk or the little shove after the whistle, they never get the flag. It's always the person that gets shoved that goes and shoves them back. And do not get baited into shoving back in this case. Keep your head on a swivel, continue to listen to the narrative, continue to share this stream. Hive, continue to, spread the word about the narrative warfare that needs to begin on this. Because I'm also at the point where I don't think that it's just a narrative war on Brian Koberger and the guilt or the innocence. There needs to be something that snaps as far as in the media when it comes to, if our public officials are corrupt, we have a right to know. These people are running our society and the media covers for them. No, it needs to start getting called out. We need to have a movement to where mainstream media goes back to being real investigative journalism. And just as a reminder, please continue to send Hive Mind finds, stories, anything that you want to share related to Idaho 4 or not. That email is birdiebombshell00@gmail.com. Also, birdiebombshell.com has a bunch of merch. That merch is priced to sell. It's nothing that Mrs. Birdie and I are making money on. It's priced to cover the entire cost of shipping, or if there's any taxes if you're overseas or out of the US. So I did that, or I didn't do that. My lovely wife did that because people were like, oh, we should get merch and stuff. And by the way, if you're a graphic designer and you have merch, there's a couple people that have reached out. I have no problem with people taking the initiative and sending me something and sending me a design. I have no problem to send that to the manufacturer and list it on the site. So if you have an idea for a shirt or a sticker or whatever, send it to me and I can get it on the site. I also recently joined Substack. I've been on Discord. Those links, along with the website and my TikTok, if you go to my YouTube channel, click more and scroll down, all those links are there. If you want to follow me or subscribe on any of those, everything that I do here in the Hive is completely free. I will never charge for a stream, nor do I plan on it, because I believe in free speech. No pun intended. Now, moving on to the Discord question of the day. This is from Amanda B. from West Virginia. She says, if you could spend a day with one person on this beautiful flat earth, or I should say no longer here, who would it be and why? I can't remember the person who was on Joe Rogan. Was it Kid Rock that said he would spend a day with Jesus? If you haven't seen that clip, it's pretty, it's powerful. Yeah, so that would be my simple answer of Jesus or my father. See him again and just be like, Dad, I'm covered in tattoos and I have a podcast called the Hive Mind now, and I own a liquor company. He's gonna be like, what? He'd be shocked. I mean, I was just a meathead playing college football back in the day. So,
of all things,
whenever I talk about that, as you guys know, it gets me a little bit in my head. So moving on.
Me too.
This is also, man, I just said moving on from the heavy stuff, but I do want to take a second here to acknowledge this Hive Mind find. And like I said, it's a little bit heavier. Jeff's son, Gabriel Bardo, was actually murdered. It's not a theory. It's very real life. It's pain you can't ever come back from. And Jeff, man, I emailed you back, and I don't know if you're watching this live, but the fact you're not just tuning into the Hive, but you're able to still seek the truth on everything and offer your perspective, it really, really says a lot about you. And man,
yeah,
it's just like the Hive is better because of people that can share stuff like this. You have to check out the details to Caden's death. Emma and Demetrius were found with empty pill capsules on them as they were the plug, or if Caden was on his own meds, they possibly poisoned him. This all happened within an hour of JJ Bailey's house in Sheilacombe, Washington. The kicker is that Caden's frat, Alpha Lambda, faced 1122 King and was next to Sigma Chi. Alpha Lambda's Moscow chapter was also suspended for unknown reasons in mid-November of 2022. And those three Banfield kids were members of Alpha Lambda. Remember Steve's Alpha comment? It does make sense in this context. Also, Emma's old house, 1619 Shetland, was less than a half of a mile from 1122. I don't know how all this ties in. I personally think a lot of it's fake. As the parent of a son who was actually murdered, Gabriel Bardo, in case you want to check, too much looks fake. Ironically, one of my son's killers was recently up for parole, and I actually gave a victim's impact statement on the same day, July 23rd, as the Idaho 4 families. And what struck me the most was the lack of emotion in their voices. Anyway, your podcast is great, Jeff. This is the story. Teenager sentenced to more than 10 years in prison for fellow Danbury teen's death. And this is just heartbreaking right here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my word.
Now, this one comes from Kimberly. This is a true crime design video. And it's called The Cover Up Before the 911 Call. Kimberly says this is an old one, but interesting to hear it again in the light of all we know. Now, I feel like I watched a little bit of this video. I don't remember the entire thing, so I thought it would be a good refresher to dive into Obviously, as you guys know, True Crime Design is effing incredible when it comes to her videos and investigative work. So shout out to her. And same thing with, we have Chrissy Nevada's in here. There's a lot of really, really good sleuths in this hive.
How does one individual kill 4 people at night and not wake up the other 2 roommates?
Our investigation will continue to look at all avenues of that investigation. I cannot disclose any of that information. I don't even know that information at this point in time.
I don't even know, but you're safe.
Were the roommates home at the time of the attack?
There was other people home at that time, but we're not just focusing just on them. We're focusing on everybody that may be coming and going from that residence.
So since they were home, was it a hostage situation?
No, it was not.
Like what happened, and she told me that 4 students were stabbed, and they had died, and that she and I said, well, how do you know that? And she said her sorority sister, who is a nursing student and attends school in Spokane, often when she's in town will stay at with my daughter and her roommate, because they're all friends. They're the same. It's called a PC class. They all graduated together. They're PCs. I think they're PC 19. So her sorority sister called and told her, and the reason and I said, well, why did she know? And she said, because of her boyfriend, Mom. He goes to UI, and so she's friends with the Pie Pies because he goes there. And I said, but how do the Pie Pies know? How do you know at 10 o'clock and we don't know until now? She goes, I don't know that. And I said, but why do you know now? Why did you know at 10? And it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and we don't know. And you know everything that happened, but the news doesn't say that, because at the same time, I'm going through my phone looking for any information I can find, and there's just no information. And so then I said, what happened? And she told me that, and what she said to me was that there were 4 kids were killed. They were stabbed, and that there were 2 roommates there who locked themselves in their bedrooms because they were scared, but they heard a lot of noise. But it's a party house, so maybe they didn't know what was happening. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, did they call 911? She goes, I don't know. But that is what I was told. That is what and I did correct it with the FBI as soon as I learned that this is not working. It's not right. So, well, a lot of kids were there early in the morning. Mm-hmm. They were there early in the morning. 8 o'clock. That's what she said. It seems like I think the sorority sister might have stayed at my daughter's house or not, but knew at 8:30, and there was a narrative discovered and built, and 2 people who are really important to the case I don't think they did it. I think they thought it was a shakedown. I do not think any student did it. Right. But I think that they all
nobody told you that, right? That's something that when it comes to the shakedown stuff.
Well, I know
that's not something that your daughter told you.
Isn't it interesting how Drunk Parrot immediately just discredits that?
That I was told. No, I was told that.
You were told what? When were you told
that? It was a drug house.
He's like, no, stick to the narrative, WSU Kim. No, I'm trying to get Steve G on my show.
They were there. The creeper was there, and there were people there.
Okay. Hold on.
He can't handle it.
Who told you this? And when was this told?
My child told me this. This was in the beginning.
And she was told by the student from University of Idaho?
The student's girlfriend from University of Idaho.
Okay. Where did she get that information from?
She just told you.
My daughter told me is that she got it from the Wi-Fi.
Oh, she got it from the sorority.
Yeah, she got it from the sorority. That's what she told me at the time.
You wake up in the morning on November 13th. Can you just describe your day?
So I don't remember like exactly when I woke up. I just remember like waking up and opening up my Snapchat, and there were dozens of Snapchat messages in all the group chats. And I just remember like, oh, this is kind of whack. And then like I got up and I was like getting ready for work. And then like when I kind of like woken up a little bit more, I started to go through them because I did not want to have to read a lot of shit early in the morning. And then, yeah, I ended up, like I was just sitting there scrolling through it, and then, yeah, opened up the messages, and then there it was. It was like, holy shit, did you guys hear about what happened? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm scrolling up, and there's just, I mean, lines and lines and lines of text. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's awake. I mean, and this is before 9:30 on a Sunday. And I remember that because I had to go to work, and I ended up not going because I, wanted to be with my brothers, right? Kind of obvious. But yeah, and like I don't remember what exact time I woke up, but I remember like, yeah, we were all talking about it. We all knew about it. And, like my boss, my coworkers were texting me later, you know, asking me like if everything was okay. And they had even heard about things. They heard like it was a shooting and stuff like that. So, and yeah, it was kind of weird because like, at the beginning, everyone said like, at the beginning, like the very, very first messages where people were talking about the stabbings, or like a stabbing had occurred. And then it changed to an OD, and it was just kind of weird. Like looking back on it, it changed to an OD so quickly, and like nobody questioned it, and like we didn't question it either because we knew there were drugs in that house, and like just genuinely thought like, okay, they got a bad batch, and that's just what happened, right? Because you see it on the news, it happens in major cities.
So you said you had to go to work, and you said you had to be to work at 9:30. So this would have happened before, like you got to work.
Yeah, yeah, no, this was definitely, and it was like I don't know, 5-10 minute drive to work, and like I had to like get ready too. So you're talking like well before 9 o'clock in the morning at least.
Sunday around.
We were watching football.
One-ish, and we were
like
watching
every
football.
family, or a lot of families on Sunday.
And then our son was here. Everybody was home except for she was down at her home in LA.
We gather.
And my niece called me, and she was freaking out. And she said, "Christy, have you talked to Kaylee?" And I said, "Yesterday, you know, like last night." And she said, "Something bad happened. Something bad happened." And she was just bawling. And I said, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?" And she said, "I think Kaylee's dead." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she
all
said,
our stomachs just dropped.
She said there was somebody just called me and they live down there. There was a party last night, and somebody went in and shot the party up, and Kaylee was shot. I was like, "What?" And I just threw my phone. I started screaming. I started telling everybody to call Olivia and to get all her roommates on the phone. And I started calling Maddie, and Maddie wouldn't answer, and Maddie wouldn't answer. I said, "No, this can't be, because Maddie would have called me. If Kaylee was shot last night at a party, Maddie or Jack would have called me." Like, no, and I called Kaylee and went straight to voicemail. I was calling Maddie, I was calling Jack, it was ringing. I turned on the TV, and I saw it said 1117 Road. Kaylee's car was in the driveway, Maddie's car was in the driveway, but it was saying an unconscious person. And we're saying, okay, maybe this isn't, like, maybe something happened. So Steve starts calling the police. Steven, our son, started calling the hospital, and he started calling the PD and saying, "My name is Gonzalez, and we heard that my daughter Kaylee Gonzalez was killed in an accident." And they said, "Oh, we can't give you any more information. We'll call you back." Well, next thing you know, some more phones started ringing. Our daughters that came running down, 16 and 17 years old, came and said, "Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead." And we're like, "What? Like, who was it?" She's like, "I don't know. It's somebody that they're there, and Kaylee's dead." And we were like, "Oh my God, like this can't be, And it just.
Did you guys notice that? When she goes, "Who was it?" She goes, I don't know. It's somebody that's there. I don't know. Again, who knows? This whole thing it's weird. It's weird, but that part just grabbed my attention. I haven't picked up on before.
Said, "Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead." And we're like, "What? Like, who was it?" She's like, "I don't know. It's somebody that they're there, and Kaylee's dead." And we were like, "Oh my God, like this can't be, And it's just very, very, very dramatic.
These protocols have to be updated.
Yeah.
These protocols of somebody showing up at your door 10 hours later is ridiculous.
Because we had hours of panic before sheriff department.
It was terrible.
It was about 4:30.
So you guys, they never called you. You guys found this out from family members that were in the area, and you guys didn't get notified. You actually reached out to them, and you guys still didn't get notified.
He wanted calling them twice.
And I get it. Their protocols are all about, maybe they'll commit suicide or something, but they have to be updated because social media moves so fast, so quick.
11:58 a.m. This phone call goes out.
And again, right away brings up social media too. Just
to the police, and I'm like, "Hey, Dave, you told me that you knew about this like at like 9. Like, let's say like that I would have come back like months ago when this originally happened. Let's say that I was like your family member, and you're telling me about this, and I would have been like, Dave, wait, you told me that you knew about this like at 9:30 in the morning. Well, 911 wasn't called until like 11:58 a.m. Like, do you think that that's weird? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Well,
like,
and that's
what
the
was
thing,
going
right?
on
Is
for
like
2.5 hours?
we don't know, and we never really we didn't a lot of us kind of unplugged ourselves from the case and all the news and everything. It's just we live in it so much. You see dozens of reporters just going to class each day. You don't want to walk out of your freaking house, you know. But we just kind of stayed unplugged to where we didn't really even think about it or connect the dots. And that's why when I heard WSU's Kim's thing, when she said that, and literally when she was talking about how she yelled at her daughter like that, it literally made me think about my mom doing that to me. That's what it felt like, was she was my mom saying that same shit to me. How the hell did you know? And it just it literally just blew my mind. How did we know? How did I not think of that? Wait, what? And it just made me have so many other questions. Holy shit, she's right. And not even to mention that, how the hell did her daughter know? Her daughter goes to WSU. We have way.
Such a good point. Such a good point.
We have so many other questions. Holy shit, she's right. And not even to mention that, how the hell did her daughter know? Her daughter goes to WSU. We have way closer. I can go through on my phone, one person or two people and be in that house. Right, in that sorority. I've got girls on my phone that are in the sorority. I've got people that know other people in that sorority, upper and lower classmen. How did that girl find out? And it just,
depending on who people are friends with and stuff like that.
Right, but even then, that quickly, you're gonna go to your inner circles first, right? That's why I was talking to the one kid, because his girlfriend was freaking out, and so he was having to be there for her without being able to go to the sorority. So he's texting her and letting her blow off all this steam and telling me what she's telling him too, amidst the other information that we're receiving. And yeah, it just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think we just have a really good way of being young and dumb and staying distracted with school and partying and everything else, and not a lot of people question things. Maybe it's just a kid thing, I don't know, but we just
no, I get that.
Unless
you have personal knowledge, but for 911 not to be called for 2.5 hours, let's just say, but everybody else is messaging each other, that would mean that somebody had to message to get this thing going. It had to be from the inner circle of whoever was in that house to have possibly told everybody to get that going. You get what I'm trying to say?
100%.
Yeah.
100%, I agree, and that's where I'm asking the same questions. Is what did those girls do? But what did they do? How did we all know before the cops even got freaking called? I just didn't think connect the dot. It didn't. I don't know, man. I mean,
we don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night. Would have we loved for that to have happened? Yes, but that's not how it took place.
Investigators are trying to ascertain why there was a delay and what actually occurred, what was heard. That's a question that's still out there.
We have 61% of the people who watch this are not subscribed. It is free. There's no memberships. There's nothing. You just got to press that button. Then you'll obviously see the videos every time you open up the YouTube app. I'm sure you guys know that, but it does help get the word of the stream and the Hive out.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.